man Jeff. What's going on, sir? How you feeling?
I'm amazing. I can't complain at all.
Oh, that's good. That's good, man. Well, thanks for coming and sitting down with us, here on the rematch. You're my guy. I was looking at the notes. I was like, wait, 34 years old. When did that happen?
Yeah, I know.
You know
Time
what I'm
has
saying?
flown since we've been in OKC together,
Okay, so
man.
when we was in OKC, y'all were like young. Like it was,
Yeah,
me and Kevin Ollie, we were the old grandpas on the team.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know
I
what I mean?
was I was 20, 21, 22. Katie was 19.
Yeah.
Russ was like 19. It
Yep.
was James. Like it was a really young crew.
And that
Yeah,
was
time
James
has flown.
Harden's rookie year. Because I
Rookie
remember
year.
actually he came up to me when I met him and he said, nice to meet you, sir. I grew up watching you. I was like,
Yeah.
grew up watching me? What you mean? But then I had to do the math. I was like, yeah, I guess so. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
guess it's like 18, 19 years old. So,
Yeah. You
but
had a lot of young cats there.
that was a special group though, man.
Yeah, we had a talented class of young guys who we were all hungry, wanted to win. It was fun. That was a good year. Good year.
I always tell people that if the Thunder would have kept all of y'all together, right, that y'all would have won at least 2 championships. And I still
Yeah,
stick to that.
yeah,
That's what I feel.
yeah. Me and Russell actually talked about it when we got back together when I resigned with Houston a couple months ago.
Hmm.
And I don't think people understand like the talent that we had, you know, with myself,
Yeah.
KD, Russ, Serge,
Surge, right.
Nick Collison,
Yeah.
James rookie year. Like we had a lot of
Yeah.
good talent. It was just like we were all young.
Right.
For myself and Katie and Russ, James, like we were trying to find our way, trying to figure out how to win. And we won off basic, off talent that we had. But when it came to playoffs, it was just you know try to fight, and we ran into a monster, and the Kobe Bryant. So
Yeah,
but
but y'all were young though. It's just y'all were going to be learning, and I
yeah,
just thought that they broke it up too quick. Like in my mind, you do everything that you can to keep that unit together as long as you can. Like you ride it to the wheels
yeah.
fall off. If you have to go into the luxury, you go into the luxury camp a little bit because y'all had like a special group, and I just still don't understand why it didn't work.
Well, that's the business part of the NBA, man. I never forget that was the year they offered me an extension, and I decided to go into free agency to test, and they were like, and that's when I realized, teams are going to do what they're going to do
Uh,
to help themselves out, and they, instead of losing me for nothing, they wanted to get something, for me, and it was, that's just the nature of the business, and I think the business really hurt OKC as far as letting talent go. They did the same with James,
right.
and that's how James got to Houston. Not letting him walk away for nothing, and that's just the nature of the NBA.
Well, talk about how great it was for y'all to all reunite in Houston. I
Yeah,
was happy for you. You saw some of the games.
yeah,
I would just text you, nice dunk, man. That's what I'm talking about, young fella. You know what I mean? Like, how was it with
yeah.
y'all all reuniting?
Now it was amazing, to be honest with you, because when I think about like me, Russ, and James last time we were together, being early 20s,
Mhm.
it's like, man, and then you think about 10 years later, it's like, what Russ and James has done over the course of their career, us getting back together. Like we talked about, like we had this thing me and James had, like Russ used to clown us about like this, the group, me, Katie, and him and James, the Burlingtons we used to have, like, and we were young, not knowing what we was doing. That was the Instagram before Instagram even,
Right,
got really popping. So
right.
it was fun just to, talk about the memories we started with and how we all started, because not a lot of people know that, we actually played together pretty much, and, that, we had the talented group that we had.
It's interesting. People always ask me all the time if Westbrook and KD had beef while I was there. And I was like,
No.
no, they was friends
Yeah,
off the court.
exactly.
We already kicked it. Like that's not
Yeah.
people think they know, but they don't know at all. But
Bel
everybody was all
yeah.
cool.
Believe me, I got it every day. Do they really not like each other? I'm like, oh man, it's just, people make stories. They twirl stories to, create hits in the media. And that, I mean, you can't fault them for that. I mean, by the way Katie left in the split, it looked like, they
Right.
had a problem. But they didn't have a problem. It's just the nature of the business. KD wanted to try another route, and that's just how it worked out. And
Right.
people ran with the story, and for them, it's just like let them run with it. We know what we're about. We know how our friendship is, and it is what it is, and that's how I saw it.
So let me ask you this: how was it this season in the bubble? Because that was a
Mm.
whole different experience, and
Yeah.
just how was it? Because one of the things that Westbrook tested positive for coronavirus before he came there.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I know he's not somebody who's going to make any excuses for anything. Like he's not.
Yeah.
But I saw that his timing was off. Like he was
Yeah.
trying to push. He was like somebody who hasn't played for a while and was trying to get his rhythm, but he was trying real hard to get it. And you know what I mean? He just couldn't quite get it at different times. And it reminded me of flashes of the young Russell Westbrook that I saw when we were playing at Oklahoma City, when sometimes he just wouldn't have his rhythm. Did you
Yeah.
see that at all?
No, I mean, I was firsthand. I saw it, because you got to think he missed, a handful of practices,
Right.
and then he comes back, and it's different from practice and games, as you
Right.
know,
Right.
and he just didn't have it, and not have it, but he didn't have a rhythm,
Mhm.
the rhythm of the game, where his shots are going to come from. And it was a different game in the bubble. And he came back, but he was energetic, but the shots, his legs wasn't there, and then he gets hurt, and he missed the whole seeding games, and he comes back after game 4 first round of OKC, and he still
Mhm.
didn't have the rhythm. So we had a Russell who was the athleticism, the quickness is still there, but the rhythm, the legs, and everything wasn't there. And Russell, he's going to fight it. He's going to fight it. He's going to fight it. And it just wasn't enough time for us to really get him, reps to have his legs, to have his rhythm, because we play it every other day. Like
Right.
it started to feel like back to back to back to back.
Right. Right.
After a
Right.
while, it's because the day offs, they go super quick.
Mhm.
So, it was hard to get him in the gym to get up and down because we were playing every other day. And, we didn't have enough time for him to get established with the rhythm of the game. And, but, like Russell, as Russell would say, we're not going to make excuses about
Of
it. We're
course.
just going to, go with the results. But
Of
it
course.
was tough. It was really tough for him. But the bubble life, man, it was like I looked at it as a big AU tournament that was
Yeah.
just the players and teams. It wasn't no
Yep.
fans allowed, and it was for me, it was great. It was a great experience, hopefully once in a lifetime experience.
I hear you.
But I definitely enjoyed it. It was a different feeling. Like I remember the first game we played Toronto
Mhm.
in the so-called preseason games before we played the seeding games, and I went to the free throw line,
Mhm.
and it was just dead quiet. And you used to hear people
Right.
yelling,
Right.
and
Right.
I was just like, man, like this is super weird. And I missed the first free throw, and I was like, man, like I got to get used to this. And creating your own energy, it was definitely tough to create your own energy every other day in front
Right.
of no fans, in front of nothing. So it was definitely something you had to really get used to.
Let me ask you this because the small ball it's
Yeah,
different. I'm of course not a fan of
yeah,
small ball because that makes me like a dinosaur. You know what I mean? But you was like playing the center, and you had a great
yeah,
season. I mean, I was texting you while I was looking. I was like, man, my man Jeff is over here hooping. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like he was having a really productive season. How do you like small ball?
Uh, I mean, there's pros and cons to it,
Hmm.
obviously. The pros, I look at it at an individual standpoint, being somebody, who likes to get up and down the floor.
Hmm.
There's a lot of shots going up. Uh, and especially with D'Antoni, the way he
Hmm.
plays, the freedom he allows each player to have. Selfishly, I loved it,
Okay.
because, the position I'm in, he allowed me to showcase a lot of what I can do,
Hmm.
being on the ball, playing multiple positions, guarding every position.
Hmm.
I enjoy it. But there comes a time when you do have to play a team like the Lakers, who are, AD at the five, JaVale, you got Dwight, you got
Right.
LeBron,
Right. Right.
and with small ball, with our team, I mean, we had guys with big hearts. So, I'm not going to say that we couldn't guard them, but
Right.
sometimes it would be tough, with the length, with the size that they had. And they adapted to us after the first game, but they still had in some positions the length and the size.
Mm.
And I think that's where, it's a fine line of small ball. It's like, man, I wish we had just the one big who can,
I mean, you had Tyson Chandler there, like
yeah,
you
I mean,
know.
and Tyson's my right hand man. I was with
Yeah.
Tyson every day at the bubble. That's my guy.
Yeah.
It was just, it was tough. I really, sometimes I looked at it, I was like, man, I wish we could go out there, just box him out, just,
Just a little
the
something,
hard
right?
fouls, to
Yeah.
get that energy. But, I think just, the vision that Dan Tony and, the front office that they had, it was just, small ball and nothing. And, with Tyson, it was just, bad luck.
So were you surprised that D'Antoni said that he wasn't coming back as quickly as he did?
Well, yes and no. I mean, I wasn't there the whole season. I wasn't there the previous, last 4 years that he was there. A couple of years he was there. I think it was 4 years. So I don't know, like, his mindset. I didn't. We didn't have those conversations, so I don't know, like, maybe, in my eyes, I'm like, maybe he just thought, like he said, it was time for Houston to get a, new voice.
Mm.
And that's what I just took it for what it was. And it was a tough spot. You conference finals 2 years in a row, then losing 2 years in a row again in the semifinal. The semis is like, like, I think he was just like, you know what, we've done everything. You went through the era of having a big, that you went to small ball, and it's like, I mean, what else can I really do? And I think he just saw it at the time that he can, depart on good graces, with the front office, and go down a new path. And so I don't know, what happened previous before I got there. I
Right.
just know he didn't sign the extension, and
Yeah.
I look at that. When you're in this business for a while, you look at that as being as a time where you're like, man, if this year we don't get it done, I guess it's my turn to exit. And that's just how I saw it.
But you didn't see like a situation where like he felt like he lost the players in the locker room. Sometimes you hear
No,
things like that but from a
yeah,
coach, or he didn't connect with players or anything like that. It was just that it was just time to go.
yeah. I mean, for me, I just think it was time to go. I didn't see the the players, like, tone them out.
Hmm.
I didn't see that. He had an open door policy where, when we saw something that we wanted to fix, or he saw something, he can come to us. Like, it was great conversation. I had, good conversations about him. Like, maybe I should do this, and it was,
Hmm.
let's try it out. And
Hmm.
that's how it was. He was a great coach to play for.
Well, you had a very productive season, and so one of the things that I saw, looking at your career, you play for a lot of different teams,
Hmm.
and one of the things that you see is that you play for repeat teams. Like you go back to a team that you played for previously, and you don't see that a lot.
Yeah,
And a lot of times, it speaks to your character, where you don't burn bridges, where it's not like something personal, and they welcome you with open arms 2 years
hmm
or 3 years down the road,
yeah.
to come back to the team. Is that something that was that intentionally done, or do you notice
No,
that?
I mean, honestly, I mean, me, like, it's just my personality. Like, I'm even keel. I get along with everybody. But honestly, it's like I always tell, like, the young guys that come in now, like, don't burn your bridges. And the NBA is all about timing and opportunity.
Mhm.
Like, if you look throughout the course of my career, every time I was, I was traded twice. I think twice. It's always been like about like contracts. Like, in Memphis, I got traded to Clippers. It was because, everybody got hurt. Mike Conley, Mark, like, everybody got hurt, and they were looking to rebuild. And
Mhm.
at that point, I was the one who had trade value because Mike and everybody was hurt. And it
Mhm.
was, let's get something for him because next year is going to be a rebuild.
Mhm.
When I got traded from Boston to Memphis, it was a process of contract. When I
Okay.
got traded from OKC to Boston, it was contract.
Okay.
And I mean, the other times going from team to team is just opportunity and timing. Like, it was just wasn't my time there, and that's how I look at it. I mean, I never like held a grudge to, the team that didn't resign me. Like for
Right.
me, for what I've been through, is I'm still playing basketball.
Right.
That's all I care about. Like, we've been through the heart
Right.
surgery and
Right.
still being able to play year after year after year and at a high level is just like,
Definitely.
you know what? I'm not going to dwell about, the teams I play with, because at
Right.
the end of the day, they're still calling for me to still play.
That's true.
So,
It's a blessing.
it's a blessing. So,
Right.
I never really held a grudge. I always, stayed positive. I always kept a good relationship with the front office, the coaches
Mhm.
who I had contact with, and I just leave it at that, and see where the future holds. And I always came across that conversation again. Well, would you like to come back? Sure, play basketball. Yes, of
That's
course.
good. I mean, it's crazy seeing you. Now you the wise old vet. You
Yeah,
know
I
what I
know.
mean? Before you was
I
like the
know.
young
I
cat.
know.
But
Yeah.
you mentioned the surgery. We both have that in common. We both had open heart surgery, and a lot of people don't understand the process of what it took for
No.
you to battle back. And I remember when I had mine, and before I had people like Ronnie Turioff reach out to me, and I had Tractor Trailer reach out to me, and
Hmm.
Fred Hoiberg. Fred Hoiberg
Fred.
was like,
Yeah.
call me anytime. He was like, no, I
Yeah.
mean it. Call me anytime. And I was
Yeah.
like, all right, cool. So sometimes I call him, I was like, hey, Fred, I like, can I speak to Fred? You remember you said I could call you
Yeah.
anytime? Because it's just certain things that you don't know. Like, talk
Yeah.
about the process of battling back and everything that it kind of took.
Man. Well, you were one of the first people I contacted. We had
Right.
a conversation about what to experience, and then Ronnie, and like you said, Fred,
Mm,
and it was the one of the hardest processes of getting in shape, of learning your body all over again that I ever been through.
right.
And I tell people all the time, that I think people, my goal was to always come back and try to have people forget that I had heart
Right.
surgery,
Right.
if that makes sense.
Oh, definitely.
And it's like people forget, like, oh, he had heart surgery, and they'd be
Right.
like, oh, but he's playing well. And it's like, no, you don't understand what I had to go through. Like,
Right.
it felt like, I tell people, like, you had to learn almost how to like walk again. It's
How to
like
walk. Yeah.
walk to, you know 5 steps was like
Yeah.
you ran 8 miles.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it's like
Yep.
you go from literally first steps to running. Like, it's the most difficult process ever.
Yeah.
Like, walking was your rehab.
Yep.
Like,
That's right.
walking was your rehab. Like, I
That's
never
right.
forget, I had my surgery in Cleveland Clinic,
Okay.
and I went back to DC to stay with my dad. So him and his wife, they looked after me, the pills and everything. And
Right.
my
Right. Right.
rehab was going to Pentagon City Mall and
Uh huh.
just walk in the mall. That's
Yeah.
all I did. And
Yeah.
I would walk for 5 minutes. I sit down. Me and my dad would sit down. We'd walk again for 5 minutes. I sit down. And that was the rehab. It was the hardest thing
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
And people like, you should, like, yes, like,
People don't
I'm not.
understand.
They don't understand,
They don't
man. And I'd
understand.
be like, there's ACLs, there are ankle
Yeah.
surgeries, there,
Right.
but heart surgery, you're
Yeah.
talking about people who laid on the deathbed for a couple minutes,
Yeah.
and now is all right. Now you got to walk.
Right.
After like 3 days, 2 days after surgery, it's like, all right,
Right.
we got to stand up. You got to breathe in this tube, and it's like, oh
Yeah.
man, it was
Oh
the
yeah, the
hardest thing.
tube, the
Yeah,
breathe thing, the tube. Oh man.
yeah, having
It's
blood
funny
flow.
when I remember the first time I looked in the mirror and I was like, oh my gosh, like I had lost like 40 or 50 pounds. I was
Yep.
like, I ain't been this skinny since high school.
Hey,
It's like, oh my
man,
gosh.
what I did, I took a picture. My best friend Willie Jennings, he was there every step of the way. We was in Cleveland the night before. He took a picture of me before,
Uh-huh.
and that was the lockout year. So in
Right.
2011.
Hmm.
So like, you work out every day, and I was like ripped, and I was like fit. And then they was like, the doctors, I never forget, they told me, they said, the first thing we want you to do is go look in the mirror, because it's going to be you for the rest of your life. And I never forget, I was in my hotel room. It was like the fifth day. And I looked at the mirror, and I was just like, what the hell?
I know.
Because like, you lose all definition,
Everything.
like
Everything gone.
everything.
Yeah.
And I was just like, who
Right.
is this? And that day forward, I was like, I have to get back. Like,
Right.
I have to get back. And you have your days. I
Of
had
course.
one day where in the hospital I was like, I thought about it. I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
And I woke up. I'll never forget it. It was like 2, 3 in the morning, and you had the suction
Oh
whenever
yeah.
you had to,
Yeah.
call for like,
Right.
and I had a piece of phlegm. It was stuck in my throat, and you
Yeah.
can't like,
Right. Right. You can't
it
even
was
breathe.
the
You can't even take a deep breath.
nothing, and I had
Yeah.
tears. I was like, I looked at him, I was like, I'm not gonna do this. It
Yeah.
was the hardest thing ever. But people don't, they
They
don't
don't
like
understand.
if they don't, and I tell you, like I never wish that on my enemy, like
Right.
but like you have to honestly you have to go through it to understand. But I never want anybody to go through
Oh no, for
it.
sure. And I remember being at the hospital, and I had my surgery at the Mayo Clinic in
Hmm.
Minnesota. And I remember one time I'm there, and I'm laying down, and every time my heart beat, I could see myself move. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? And I was like,
yeah,
oh my God, I am in bad shape. So I was just not happy. I was like
yeah,
getting like depressed. I was, you know what I mean? I didn't want to, the nurse came in, I don't want nothing, get away. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Type of thing. So the nurse said, okay. She's like, I've seen this before. I'm gonna wheel you down to the children's ward because they want to meet you. I was like, I don't want to meet no kids right now. She's like, no, it'll be cool. So we went
yep,
down, and I saw all of these kids because they just knew a basketball player. They didn't know who. They just knew an NBA player was in the
yeah,
hospital. So they went and saw me, and these kids were way worse than me. Like some of them were waiting for hearts. Like some of them
yes,
had, like bald heads, and they had medicine and all stuff hooked to them, and they were so happy. You know what I mean? So
yep,
that kind of, she was like, if they could be happy and thankful, that's what the nurse said to me, and I was like, dang, okay, you got
yeah.
me. Then
No,
that
I know,
switched
man.
everything for me. Then I felt bad for feeling bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're talking about. I had that happen to me, and I got to Memphis and Boston. Like, you do the hospital Christmas visits,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
because you went through the procedure, that like, it'd be special if you can, see
Right,
these kids. And I
right.
think that's when it was like, I think that was like the turning point of my mental. That was like, man, you gotta appreciate this.
Definitely.
And that was the turning point, like seeing these kids, like newborns,
Yeah,
1 year old, 2 year olds.
yeah.
And I never forget, I did a PSA for the Heart Association in when I was with Boston in the
Uh-huh.
practice gym, and like I was looking at the kids, and they smile, like you said,
Right,
smiling.
right,
And in my head, I'm like, man, why do I have to go through this?
right.
And I remember like, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah,
why are you mad? Like, you
right.
look at you, you're playing again, you're
Yeah,
happy.
yeah.
And I ever since that day, like I've been different. Like my like positive
Hmm.
every day, no
It
matter the
changes your whole
circumstance.
outlook
Yeah,
on
like
life, like as a
yeah,
whole.
like playing basketball. Like, man,
Yeah.
people act like, to go back to like the question of re-signing with different teams. Like,
Uh,
people like, man, you should be mad you're making the minimum. Like, mad?
yeah. Right.
I'm playing. Like, I don't
Like,
care.
do you
Like,
know what I just went through?
exactly. Like, and like those moments like really like shaped me for like the future, like my perspective on life is like, enjoy it, man,
Have
enjoy
you
it.
had younger athletes then email you or call you, their representatives or something like that, who are about to have heart surgery to ask you for
Yeah,
advice?
yeah. Like when in Washington, I always invite him to a game.
Hmm.
In Washington, I forgot the kid's name. I think it was Jacob. I
Okay.
invited him to the game at Madison Square Garden. We played in
Uh-huh.
Madison Square Garden. We met before the game. I did it in Cleveland. Every year I try to build a connection with
Yeah.
somebody
Yeah.
who is going through it. But I can't think of a kid
Yeah, because
who
it's
I talked
crazy.
to.
It's crazy because they look at us as their inspiration to make
Yeah,
them feel that they're gonna be all right. Like I've talked
yeah,
to people, like some people call me like, "Hey, my grandfather is gonna have open heart surgery. Can you just say
yeah,
something to him?" And I say like something to them, and then they tell me how their whole outlook on everything
yeah,
changes. I'm like,
yeah,
wow,
yeah,
that's
yeah. No,
crazy.
my thing with kids, I always was like, because like that when I had my surgery, it was like Iron Man. Like that's when they started doing Iron Man movies. So like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Iron Man, you got to be Iron Man. Like
Right,
I was like, oh, Iron Man. Like I love Iron Man. So like I got Iron Man statues upstairs,
right.
and my girls like they have an Iron Man statue that
Yeah,
they
yeah,
took
yeah.
out my room, and they're
Uh,
like, "This is Daddy." I'm like, "That's Daddy."
that's what's up.
But no, like I don't know about you. Like when I had my surgery,
Mhm.
like I met like it was like I never met anybody who had the surgery besides yourself.
Right.
and Ronnie, but we
Right.
never talked about it. But
Yeah.
once I had to go through it,
Oh,
it seemed like
all kind of
every day
people. No
I was
question.
like, what
No
were these
question.
people like
Yeah.
before it? Like I
Because
never
you
forgot.
become an inspiration for them. So they
Yeah.
know you. You know what I
It's
mean?
like,
Like I
heard she having a surgery. I had it back in,
yeah,
when I was, 30 or something like that. And, I'm
yeah,
still going strong. I hope the best for you. And I was like, wow, like it was
yeah.
every day.
All the
I was
time.
every
It's like
day.
a big fraternity, you
Yeah,
know.
exactly.
So do you
Exactly.
remember? I remember, coming back and playing and working out. And remember, like, so the year, like after you have the surgery, and then you start doing a little bit of stuff with the team,
Hmm.
right? Not
Yeah.
all the way play, but you get that itch and you want to do a little bit of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So you're working out and everything, and then the first time you get tapped on the chest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for me, the first time I was like, I did
Yeah.
like that, and then everybody stopped. Like, "Are you all right, man?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Gilbert was like, "Bruh, do you need to go sit down?" But it just like shocks you like this. Did you experience anything like that?
Yeah, no, I had multiple moments. So the first time I played pickup, I was at Georgetown. I played with
Okay,
the guys who were at Georgetown that year. And I was telling them, I was like, I want you to hit me. Like,
right,
not
right.
like hit me, but
No, because you
like
don't want
if
them
you,
to treat you
yeah,
differently. Yeah,
exactly. I was like, if you have a chance, like hit me in my chest, like, because I need to feel it.
right.
And like I would get hit and I'd be like, I wait. Like, okay. Like hit again and I wait. But
Did
the
you have
first,
Did you have the pad thing
yeah, I
and
had the
the
pad.
right?
But the first time, I never forget this. The first time, it wasn't working out. That's when I would go back to Boston.
Uh,
I just after like I was rehabbing and stuff, and I would go back to Boston, and because like I got away from the game, and then I went back. So KG, Paul, Rondo, they were still with the team. So I never forget. We was in the locker room after a win,
okay.
and I'm like, yeah, boo, boo. And KG, not thinking, he turns. It's like, yes, high five it, hits my chest, and his face, he was like, oh, like, you're right, you're right. And I'm like, I waited. I was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Like, don't worry about it. I'm good. And that
Yeah,
was the first time I was like, oh, snap. He just hit me in my chest.
right.
Like, I hope nothing happened.
Yeah.
And then it was like, nothing. I was like, all right, cool. Like, but his face of panic, I was like, no, 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 I'm okay. I'm
Yeah.
okay. That was the first time that I was like, all right, I could take a little contact to the chest. I'll be all right.
Yeah, but that's good. It's such a great story and your comeback story and the way that so now you're playing, nobody even thinking about it, like you said. So that's just amazing in itself. I wanted to ask you a little bit about growing up in Prince George's County. And my son is a PG. You
Yeah.
remember Malcolm? He was a little cat back when Oklahoma City, but
Yeah,
he
yeah.
big now. He about to
It was
going into
small, yeah.
Mather. Yeah, he going into Mather this
Yeah.
year. Like he's big. But Prince George's County is a special county. And that him
Mhm.
and all the team. I coached the AAU team, so they all watched In the Water and learned about everything from the county.
Yeah.
And one of the questions I always have, and a lot of the guys have, is why none of y'all went to, like, what I mean, like Maryland, or like like KD didn't go to
Hey,
Maryland. How so many guys were right here go other places. Of course, you went to Georgetown, but for the most part, a lot of guys don't stay here. And why is that?
I would like to place the blame on Gary Williams.
Okay,
They gave
all
their
right,
last scholarship away. I think I told him this actually. I told him this a couple years ago, and I wanted to go there. Like I bled like fear the turtle. Like that was any like you said anybody who's from Maryland who's a baller, you fear the turtle. Like that's the first
right,
college you know.
right.
And they gave their scholarship away. They wanted me to go prep. I didn't want to go prep, so I said
Mm,
try to figure out a way. They didn't. So my goal was Georgetown was recruiting me. So I was like, I'm going to Georgetown. Only visit I took. I went there, and then when I signed, JT3 got the job.
okay.
So I was like, in my mind, I said I want to make Georgetown the best area school the years I'm there.
Mm.
Because Maryland didn't recruit me. All right, you guys are gonna you got to pay
Good.
somehow because they didn't want to. They actually didn't want to play it. We wanted to play them my junior year. Like so, you sign a contract, you play like at Verizon or on their
Right,
campus, couple
right,
years,
right,
but they didn't want to do it. So that's what I knew. I had him.
And what is this that you almost went to Syracuse?
I almost went to Syracuse as well. That was I had a connection with Troy Weaver through DC. So
Troy Weaver's the man.
He's from DMV. So that was a
Yeah.
strong connection there. And Carmelo Anthony was my favorite player. That's
Okay.
the year they were going to get their rings. I was going to go to March Madness, meet Melo. I was excited. I was going to sign a letter of intent to go there, and it snowed like Syracuse does, and
Like
it
a
got
lot.
canceled. Then Troy Weaver ended up getting a job, and I want to say it was Utah first.
Ah,
So he left. Melo wasn't there anymore. Obviously, I didn't get a chance to meet him. So
right.
that whole me going to Syracuse thing got declined very fast because
Oh
I
wow.
didn't meet him. So I was like, I'm just gonna go to Georgetown. Yeah, man. Yeah, I could have been
Wow.
an Orangeman, man.
Oh, that sucks. Now I remember Big John was in
Uh,
the he was there, and he was someone who supported me my whole time in DC. When he just recently passed away, and he was a
yeah,
great man. Like, I have a lot of respect for him, and
yeah,
he everybody has a lot of respect.
yeah.
Talk to me real quick about what your relationship was with him, even though he wasn't your coach, but he was still a figurehead there.
No, I'm gonna tell you, he was our top assistant. if
No, right,
if that
right,
means anything, he was at every practice of mine. My
oh, I didn't know that.
3 years, he was at every practice. He would he had a yellow notebook. He would write his notes, and
Uh-huh.
McDonald's the one way out the double doors. He would
Uh-huh.
wait for us to come. He would stop us, say his piece, and then be like, "All right, get on my face." But no, Big John was, man. He was an inspirational figure like that. So like for like the young kids now, that Black Panther, like the iconic hero, he was
Right.
that for us. Like because like the that big African American, coach, basketball player who was well respected in the community. Said his voice was loud in
Mm-hmm.
any kind of way. Like it was just he was just like an inspirational like guy who gave us direction, who taught us how to be men, who taught us, how to, lead a life outside of basketball. Not let basketball define who you are. And that was always his
Mm-hmm.
his story to all the guys who came into Georgetown. Don't let that basketball determine how people judge you. And that was something that he preached, and that was something that he lived by, and he led by example with that. And he for me he individually he played a role in my hire, how I should handle my business, make sure I'm understanding what I'm doing with my money, make sure I'm hiring the right people, doing my research, is being more than just collecting a check and being okay. So he
Mm-hmm.
he definitely led by example for a younger African American male to you know be bigger than what people see you as, and that's a basketball player. And he lived by that. And you can see it in Dikembe, you can see it in Lonzo. So those were guys who I looked up to. So knowing that it came from him and seeing it firsthand, having that everyday interaction with him, it
Mm-hmm.
was memories I never forget.
That's great, man. That's great. Well, like I said, I have nothing but respect for him, and we developed a great relationship here while I was with the Wizards, especially.
Yeah,
So he was definitely an icon and will be remembered forever. So, hey, I appreciate you coming down and sitting with me, man. I
of
wish you
course.
nothing but success. You had a fantastic year. Looking for you to have some more great years, and
Thank you.
keep going, man. Keep doing your thing. It's crazy. I feel like an old grandpa talking to his son that grew up, you know what I mean? Because you all grown now. It's crazy, man. But hey, much
Yeah, man.
respect to you, man.
Time has flown, man.
It has
Thank you,
flown
brother. I
crazy, man.
appreciate it, man. Appreciate
All
it.
right, keep
Anytime.
doing your thing. All right, peace.
All right.